So whether you're a parent or a marketer, I'm sure you have wondered what makes these digital natives called Generation Z tick, the kids. What are they really interested in apart from their cell phones? The next session features Brit Morin, who has done some pretty in-depth research on how to make her millennial-focused media company, Brit & Co., appeal to Generation Z. She will be joined by Melanie Mohr, founder of Yeay, a shopping app for Generation Z out of Berlin. It only launched 3 months ago, but already has been named the Snapchat of shopping by Forbes. Susan Remke, our US correspondent of Focus magazine, mother of a Generation Z teenager herself, will join the conversation. Thank you. Come on stage.
You got it?
Yeah,
okay.
there. I'm really comfortable.
Hey everyone, good afternoon. So this is what we're going to do here in this session. First of all, we'll try to define Generation Z. Who are they? What drives them? What motivates them? And then the second part of the talk is going to be how to captivate that very special audience and how to make money with them. So I'll start off with Brit. Brit, why don't you tell us real quick, what is Brit & Co.?
So Brit & Co. is a digital media company based here in the US, whose goal is to primarily inspire, entertain, and educate millennial women, so not Generation Z, 18 to 35. Although what's interesting is that Gen Z, the older ones are now graduating college, so they're entering what we traditionally coined the millennials. We reach over 100 million women every month. We are the biggest publisher on Pinterest. We are a Snapchat Discover partner, very large on Facebook and Instagram. We use social media as a means to communicate with this audience. We also have an online learning business where we sell about 100 courses to young women, all about creative hobbies, how to do things like calligraphy, watercolor painting, decorating cakes, as well as things like how to start a business, how to code, how to create a logo. And then we actually recently launched into merchandising as well. So we have a new product line at Target stores nationwide focused on giving young women tools to make and create on their own.
Great. So you are a millennial yourself, and you own a company that targets millennial women. At what point did you realize there's a new crowd of kids in town?
Just within the last couple of years, it sort of dawned on me. So Gen Z, technically, is born from 1995 to 2010. And that means, of course, that the oldest are turning 22 this year and graduating college. When I first started Brit & Co., someone asked me, are you going to be Martha Stewart or Anna Wintour? Meaning, are you going to grow with your audience, as Martha did, or are you going to be Anna Wintour and always stay within the same age range? And I said, well, I think it's more obvious to be Anna Wintour. This audience is so great. They have all these life moments. They're graduating college, getting their first jobs, getting married, having kids, etc. Advertisers love them. And I want to be kind of their trusted resource. And so it dawned on me that I'm not just talking to millennials anymore. I am talking to Gen Z, especially within the last 2 years when we launched on Snapchat Discover. Our average user is a 17-year-old girl on that platform. And so we have just been digging into research about this audience. We know that they are our audience already, and more of them will come our way.
And you had a couple of meetings with advertisers and big companies who kind of told you, bring me the 14 to 22-year-old crowd.
Correct. I mean, it's probably one of the more elusive audiences for marketers to reach, as you all know. They are less brand loyal. They are not necessarily reading email newsletters every day. They are connecting in a whole new way, and they want something totally different from a business. They don't want to walk into a retail store to go shopping. They can do that online. So why should they come to your store? And I think that a lot of brands are really trying to take this to heart right now. They don't necessarily have the purchasing power that millennials or Gen Xers have yet, but they will within the next 5 to 10 years. And so everyone from retailers to media companies to all kinds of advertisers and agencies are really trying to figure out how to connect to this generation.
So this generation is basically the first generation that's practically born with a smartphone glued to their hand.
It is
right?
the first generation. Even myself as a millennial, I didn't get I didn't get connected onto the internet until I was about 8 or 9, which was like late compared to today's world. But this is the first generation that's had that technology since they were born. I have a 2-year-old and a 1-year-old right now, which is a different story, but it's really crazy. And they are, they're using apps, as I'm sure many of you who have young children do. And this is what Gen Z grew up with. And so some interesting stats about them. Because they're so connected by technology, one of the interesting parts about this generation is that they have they independently research and learn about all kinds of things on their own. Most of them consider YouTube their #1 resource for education. They prefer it to textbooks or teachers. They, when I was going through middle school and high school, we had something called loners, which were the people who were interested in very odd things, and so it was hard to maybe associate with them. There aren't loners in this generation. They find community groups because they have access to an online community everywhere they are. And so what's happened is there's this long tail effect. Not only do they have different interests, a long tail of interests, but there's now also 58 gender preferences on Facebook, so they can choose among 58 types of people that they are. Most people, because ethnic diversity has become a bigger and bigger deal, especially in the US, there's Blaxican, which is, Black and Mexican. There are all kinds of ethnic backgrounds that they affiliate themselves with, gender preferences, sexual orientations, psychographic interests. So, I think that what's difficult is that to reach these people, you have to be very, very targeted with your message, whether that's for us as a media company, we have to expand the amount of categories that we write about and how we're targeting them on social media platforms and targeting them to user groups, using data largely to understand and identify what these people are interested in. And the long tail for businesses is such that you need to prescribe them with all kinds of variations of things where they can truly feel like the products they're buying and the experiences they're having are their own, and they're special and unique and different. And that's so important because they're sharing all of this back on social media. And they don't want the same t-shirt their friend has. They want to do something to it that's different and unique. So the element of personalization is how I would define this generation. They want it custom and unique to them.
So let's jump back one step
Sure.
and really define them. Because the really interesting part about Generation Z is that they are very traditional on the one hand, but incredibly liberal on the other side. So the traditional part is they are very earnest, apparently hardworking. The serious type. Is it because they grew up in the times of difficult economic times, terrorism, things like that?
If you think about it, so 1995 to 2010, when this generation was born, they were young children when 9/11 happened. Most of them were also young children during the recession of 2008. They are known as the most resilient generation that's around right now. They've lived through a lot of extreme political and economic uncertainties. And therefore, they have band together as a community in many ways. And actually, most Gen Z define themselves as positive. Out of 30 characteristics, positive was the top trait that a certain survey group of them chose as their #1 trait. So I do think it's interesting that, regardless of them growing up during these times and regardless of them growing up with digital media, which in many ways has started what's cyberbullying and all of these different things, they are able to overcome that. And I think that's an interesting quality about this generation that even my generation as millennials did not have when we were younger.
Right. And I have a 13-year-old, which is a Generation Zer, and the one thing that I'm always that I always see is that he doesn't really share a lot on social media compared to what millennials did. Millennials shared every single salami brot they ate. But he's not interested in that at all. He has a very curated Instagram feed. He takes posts off, probably more off than on, and things like that. And it's not about thousands of friends. It's about a group of tight, good friends. So they learned from the millennials, right?
I think so. They live in the moment much more than millennials do. Instagram Instagram now has Instagram Live, and it doesn't save the live video like Facebook does or other platforms do. And the point is that, when I was in high school, we would spend all night talking on the phone to our friends, and they're just on Instagram Live with their friends. They'll set it up on their bedside table and do their homework in their room and be, doing whatever it is. They don't want that saved. They don't want someone to see them when they're just moseying around their room, but they do care that their close friends can see them because that's their true inner community. And I think that's very interesting how they are forming bonds with friends unlike never before.
So they're very conservative in the sense of earnest, serious, hardworking on the one side. They have very liberal social views towards race and equality and gender equality and gender in general. And the third part is they are incredibly entrepreneurial. And that's where we bring Melanie in. Melanie is out of Berlin. She started her startup is called Yeay, let's put it that way. Her startup is called Yeay. And if I had to describe it, it would be if you married Snapchat with eBay, and Snapchat and eBay had a baby, the baby would be Yeay. So, Melanie, give us a little bit more insight into what you guys are doing.
Yeah. Well, we launched out of Berlin the first real global marketplace targeting Gen Z. And we went out of beta in January this year, and we have now downloads in more than 160 countries, a couple of 100,000 downloads in this short period of time. And what we see on our platform is, and this is how it's built for, everyone can buy and sell products with a little video. And that's, of course, the language and the medium number one for Gen Z. They are natural-born storytellers. They are, of course, on their mobile phone in a way 24/7. And they love to create videos. So they are used to creating videos for Snapchat, for Musical.ly, for now Instagram stories, and this is where we thought, why not, creating a platform where they can use this medium, they can record a video in our app, and they can upload this. It's a product video, something they want to sell, and it's immediately online, and it is a marketplace in a way where everyone can do this. So it's either Gen Z crowd or it's brands who are on our platform targeting also this Gen Z generation. Yeah.
And the interesting point with Gen Zers compared to Millennials is that Gen Zers do not trust influencers and brand posts. They just don't like that. It doesn't feel authentic to them, and they just want to do it themselves.
Yeah, I think recent stats say that 80% do not trust brand posts, which is, of course, alarming. And so they believe more, their friends and their crowd if they recommend something. And that's, I think, what's happening on our platform. And of course, a lot of brands are now reaching out to us and asking, how do we do a product video? Because it comes across like a recommendation from a friend. And it's creative, and it's fun to watch, and it's honest. And so I have a bit of a problem with this authenticity topic, which is in a way here, it's everywhere now, what's authentic. I think what they want people and stories and brands they relate to, and where they can build a kind of relation. And they are not passive consumers, and they are in a way active, more active than, I would say, Millennials. And as you said, they have this great entrepreneurial spirit. More than 70% view themselves, in a way, as entrepreneurs. And more than 80% want to turn their hobbies into a business. And so I think that's where we are coming in. And of course, there is more in our platform that we empower them. For example, we are now also a sponsor of the first global teen entrepreneurship conference, which is taking place in 12 cities in the world. It's a conference from teens for teens who want to be entrepreneurs and have an entrepreneurial spirit.
That's amazing. And yesterday, when we had our pre-session chat, you told me the story about Mario.
Why
Well,
don't
but they are more Marios.
more Marios, but that's the one that I remember. Yeah.
It was great because we went to LA and we checked out which brands are following us on Instagram, and then we reached out to these brands and said, "Hey guys, we're in LA. We want to shoot some content. Want to join us?" And some brands said yes. And then there was one brand. It has already 125,000 followers on Instagram and creating shirts, teenage shirts. And then they said, yes, we organize a model, you come by and we do some filming together. And 1 hour before the shoot, the CEO of this brand messaged me and said, Melanie, I don't want you to be shocked. I'm 14. And I said,
Did he have to ask his mom?
I come over. I want to be at the shoot. I want to talk to you. And now he turned 15. But then I said, and then he said, and I said, when did you get started? And he said, yeah, when I was 12. I already had the idea. I wanted to do shirts and shirts for girls. And so he's this young boy, and he knows everything about social. So I think
Now it's working again. Yeah.
So,
no, it's not working. We might need a hand mic, please.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's off. It's off and on. That seems.
Yeah, in the same survey that I referenced though earlier, about 50% of the Gen Z respondents claimed that they were interested in starting an independent business. I think that what you're going to see is smaller businesses, but more businesses, especially out of this generation. It's one of the reasons why at Brit & Co. we try to give these people tools and actual skills in the form of classes to learn how to do these things on their own.
You have how-to classes, how to start.
Yeah, they range about an hour in length. People buy them from us.
Okay.
They are literally how to start a business, how to set up your social media site and grow your followers, how to do product photography, how to do all of these different things, as well as the actual skills. Calligraphy is a skill that people want to do, and like some people make hundreds of thousands of dollars making calligraphy, lettered mugs and things like that, and selling them on Etsy or Yeay and other platforms. So I do think that there is a rise, even in millennials, but also definitely Gen Z, of the independent maker and the small business owner.
Right. The maker movement is very big with Gen Zers too, because so much of their life happens in the virtual world. That's why they want to have
they want to touch and have the analog
real
experience. That's right. That's sort of what I was alluding to with the idea of retail. Like, how can you make it more experiential? We've done collaborations with the brand like Forever 21, which markets to this audience a lot. And the weeks before Coachella, which is the big music festival, we will do activations where young girls can come and create flower crowns and all kinds of accessories to wear and deck themselves out with, and they have to go to a Forever 21 in order to do that. And I do think that you're seeing more and more of that with Williams-Sonoma, where you can come to a cooking class and then buy the products. And I think and I hope that more retailers will embrace that as well.
So that brings us to the questions. What do retailers, advertisers, marketers, what does media, what do they need to do to really engage that very specific audience?
I think a smart move is always looking out for collaborations. I mean, this is what Gen Z, I would say, is all about, is collaborative content and collaborations in any way. And so I think it's interesting because some brands reached out to us. They are really huge. And I don't know, I first thought, what shall we do now? Shall we, because these are the brands who sell noodles or shampoos, and first I thought, what shall we do now? Shall we sell shampoos on our platform? But we figured out they are interested in our platform for this content creation tool which we have embedded, and that they could use this to co-create and get to good user-generated content in form of review videos and recommendation videos. And so I think that's a smart move, because this is what this generation is in a way about. And when they even can earn money with it, then even better. And I think to really engage with them in form of collaborations is one way.
Yeah, I would say three things. First is just understanding data and knowing how different your audience is. Like I said, there's a long tail of this audience, and you're going to talk to one woman one way, one woman another way, men different ways, even different ages. From 17-year-old and a 19-year-old should see different ads, and they have different psychographics, different demographics. So as much as you can do.
Jump back.
Yep.
17-year-olds should see different ads.
I
than
literally think
19-year-olds.
that the
You
future
literally
of
think that.
the most targeted advertising will be understanding all the traits that all of the interests that you have, your gender preference, your marital status, all of these different things, and knowing how to tailor a message to you versus to you, because you probably have different purchasing behaviors, different buying patterns based on all of those psychographics and demographics. And I think we have to figure out how to automate that process. It's not easy to scale creative and targeting to that regard, but I do think we're getting there. And you notice that social platforms have all of this data, which is why they're becoming the #1 place people are spending money online. The second thing is radical transparency. So I think this generation wants to see where things were made. Was it sustainable? Why is it priced this way? Like, how much are you making off of it? Everything about that. And the third, to your point, is human-driven advertising, human-driven recommendations. Brit & Co. Stands for Brit and Community. We have a community of all kinds of women who are experts in all different topics. We're very human first, very similar to you, because this generation, Millennial and Gen Z, want those recommendations from people. They're connecting on social media before anything else, and they want to follow people and not brands.
Right.
So getting a message through content first and through people as a proxy for that content is very important as well.
So, but these kids are kids. If my son wants to buy something online, he needs to ask me first, and then he uses my credit card, of course. So how do you make money with them?
We decided not to make money with C2C, so we make money with B2C. And of course, they have a lot of, they have a huge spending power because they have access to your money.
To my credit card.
And I know it too. I also have 2 millennials at home. So it's exactly, that's how it works. It's interesting, for example, we learned from a teenage influencer who was selling on our platform. We learned about him because he was tweeting about us. And he said, "Hey girls, I'm selling my hoodies now on Yeay. In 2 hours, I will upload the first video. Check it out, download the app, and prepare your parents to have PayPal available." And so he did, he messaged it perfectly. What do you need really to sell something on Yeay? And that's how it works.
Well, and we make most of our money through advertisers who want to reach them, because we do have the distribution reach and then the humans as brands. Most of our advertising is native advertising and not display ads, because no one is clicking on those, especially from a mobile phone. So and then B2C, through products and through these classes. I do think this generation wants to learn.
Right. So this panel flew by. I have one last question that I'm trying to squeeze in. Gen Z is supposed to have a famously short attention span, which is 8 seconds. That's actually 1 second less than a goldfish. How do you care to that attention span?
We create content every day, and we find some very short content bites. I mean, when you launch a video on Facebook, if you can't capture them in 3 seconds, then they're gone.
They're gone.
And same thing with a piece of content. They don't want a very long piece of content about a whole story. Like, they want that when they're in bed at night, unfortunately, with their phone, about to go to sleep. But when they're out and about or at school in between classes, they want something short. So we've had to actually adjust the parameters of our content guidelines for this audience.
How long are the videos on Yeay?
Average 15 to 20 seconds, so they are very short, and as many of them are created by Gen Z, they already know how to grab the attention span of their peers immediately.
In the first 3 seconds.
Yeah. 3 seconds, that's all you have.
Exactly.
Well, thank you very much, ladies. This has been a great panel, and it was the second all-female panel in a row at a tech conference.